culture. Big news! The Big Bite Food Safety Show now airs on Nationwide 90 FM with your host, Alison Richards, the Food Safety Girl. Join Alison every Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. as she serves up expert advice, tips, and insights on everything food safety. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and remember, food safety is everybody's business. Don't miss a bite of the action. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. In our next episode, we'll be reading between the labels. What you need to know.
Are you ready for it?
Revo. Coming soon.
Exciting news! The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Jamaica. Our young people are world leaders, innovators, and game changers. They are creative, intelligent, bold, and they are champions. My youths, you have the power to transform Jamaica. Our country needs your ideas, your opinions, your solutions, and your support. Full time now with kick out crime and violence, rape culture, unemployment, and all of the other problems in Jamaica land we love. I'm Empress Scolding, encouraging all young people to come make we talk up, pan talk up radio. Go on with it, youths. Talk up youth. Myself a talk up youth.
Education is the key for betterment in this modern time, Education is the key for betterment. Never you waste your time, don't you waste your time. Bless and love. This is Warrior King. It's all about talk up youth, Cause the youth them are the future. Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Keep in tune, don't move the dial. Rastafari. Reggae music back in the nation. Good vibration. What you want?
Can't you see? I need you every night when I feel lonely. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? I love a boy alone can comfort me. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? Some of them wanna don't respect me. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? I love a boy alone can comfort me.
Say she want a lover boy, we can protect her. Hug her and kiss her, not disrespect her. Say she want a lover boy, him can't too nerdy. Plan for a pitney, she a soon 30. Say she want a lover boy, well last for hours. Show up at your work, bring 2 flowers. Say she want a lover boy, none with drama. Christmas time, wear matching pyjama. What you want?
Hey, lover boy, can't you see? I need you every night when I feel lonely. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? I love a boy alone can comfort me. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? Some of them wanna don't respect me. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? I love a boy alone can comfort me.
She say a good man not for find a notion or share none. So she a go take a little time until the right one come. And me a go love you inna the sun until the rain come down. Although she a no Christian, me make she speak in tongues. I'm a pleaser, not a teaser. From the seas of Jamaica to Ibiza. No afraid for love your heart, no in a freezer. Just give me the love and I make you the visa. What you want?
Hey, lover boy, can't you see? I need you every night when I feel lonely. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? I love a boy alone can comfort me. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? Some of them wanna don't respect me. Hey, lover boy, can't you see? I love a boy alone can comfort me.
If you want me to be your lover, you can call me anytime to come over. If you want me to be your lover, you can call me.
Talk up youth and talk the truth. I ask the bush that representing for Talk Up Youths here and nationwide 90 FM every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Bush.
Can't you see? I love a boy alone can comfort me.
Talk up youths. Hey. Oh yeah, boy.
listen. Right about now, we want to tell them. We tell them, say, youths, you have to stand for your rights now. Now is the time. Youth for chat and youth for act and youth for unite right now. No silence, you youth. You have to stand for your rights now. Now is the time.
When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Oh, every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing, so when the evening comes, I lift up my eyes to this, I'm blessed, oh man. With my two hands in the air as far as I can.
And show these youths. Talk up yourself, the youths to know them roots. Nurture them, protect and love and hear these youths. Music make them know I love we show these youths.
Let's save the youth, not kill the youth. I build we come for build the youth. I trick and fool and kill the youth. I build we come for build the youth. Empower and skill the youth. I build we come for build the youth. Youth in action, Jamaica, we are
build the youths.
Talk up youth in Jamaica.
I've been praying for a break. Praying for a way to get through. All I wanna do, all I wanna do, yeah. All I wanna do is, all I wanna do is live a little, breathe a little, and go and enjoy life. Cause every more can make a mickle. No matter what you trickle, cause things so alright. All I wanna do is live a little, breathe a little and go and enjoy life. Cause every more can make a mickle. No matter what you trickle, cause things so alright. It's the pleasures and pressures of life we look into, so try your best to make time for joy when the sorrows and pain of life sets on you. We both know that there is no choice, cause every lesson is a blessing. No stressing, no guessing. Life is for the living, we know. We just live it to the fullest and let the good times flow. Cause all I wanna do is live a little.
Talk up youth and talk the truth. I ask for the bush that representing for Talk Up Youth here and nationwide 90 FM every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Bush.
I've been praying for a break. Praying for a way to get through. All I wanna do, all I wanna do, yeah. All I wanna do is, all I wanna do is live a little, breathe a little, and go and enjoy life. Cause every more can make a mickle. No matter what you trickle, cause things so alright. All I wanna do is live a little, breathe a little, and go and enjoy life. Cause every more can make a mickle. No matter what you trickle, cause things so alright. It's the pleasures and pressures of life we look into, so try your best to make time for joy when the sorrows and pain of life sets on you. We both know that there is no choice, cause every lesson is a blessing. No stressing, no guessing. Life is for the living, we know. We just live it to the fullest and let the good times flow. Cause all I wanna do is live a little, breathe a little, and and enjoy life.
Welcome to the Talk of You radio show, the voice of the Jamaican youth, coming to you right here on the best revolution station in Jamaica, Nationwide 90 FM.
That's right.
And whether you're listening to us on the 90.3, the 90.5, the 90.7, and the 90.9 FM band, Digiplay or Flow, we are glad to have you here this morning. And we hope you're living a little and going on to enjoy the fullest of your life. And you are listening to none other than the voice of your boy Malik. And I'm joined by the producer boss himself,
Damon Scarlett. Good morning, Jamaica.
And today we are the voices of youth voter intention and response to the budget speech 2025-2026. It said that the national budget is everybody's business. And usually around this time it is budget time as the government lays out its plans for the new fiscal year. In this case, the year 2025-2026. Budget season, new financial year, end of financial year.
That's right.
And the budget has been heavily debated, with some hailing it as a step in the right direction and others expressing concerns about its impact on the economy. Joining the conversation are esteemed members of the youth population today who will share their insights on the importance of fiscal responsibility and how it affects the lives of Jamaicans. We'll also explore the factors that interest young people and what will spur them to vote in this year's coming or in the upcoming elections.
Right, and so throughout the show, we'll be discussing the key takeaways from the budget presentation, including allocations for education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. And our guests will also share their thoughts on how the budget will affect the lives of ordinary Jamaicans, and this is all from a youth perspective.
So coming up in the show, our guests for Youth for Chat in the first half of the show are no stranger to the Talk of Youth radio family, Keenan Fulton, an economist, policy analyst, and academic researcher, and Keenan's career has spanned several entities in the Jamaican public sector, include the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation and other multilateral agencies.
Right, and so a little later on in the broadcast, we will also be turning our attention to youth perspective on the economy, highlighting areas of concerns for young people and discussing possible reasons for voting in the next general elections. And so we have youth participants, former youth parliamentarians who will join us. We also have Nashe Baker, Jamar Sewell, and also Kerdane Eccleston who will speak to us in that first half.
And then at midday, the junior opposition spokesman on finance, Cleveland Tomlinson, will join to talk about youth views on budget 2025-2026, fiscal responsibility, and youth voter intention ahead of the pending elections. So we're here until 1 p.m. today. Lots more in store, including, obviously our social media highlights for the week. So listen to us here at the Talk Up Youth Radio Show or online at nationwideradiojm.com. That's nationwideradiojm.com. Or get the Nationwide app in your relevant app store. You can also watch us on our YouTube. And of course, good morning to our YouTube family there at Nationwide 90 FM. Keep it locked into the station you can trust. Let's switch over to the break. This is the Talk Up Youth radio show, a youth-led Talk Up Youth production. Stay tuned for more Talk Up Youth, Mr. F.
Talk Up Youth.
We'll soon come back.
Cause every more can make a mickle. No matter what you trickle, cause things so alright. All I wanna do is live a little, breathe a little and go and enjoy life. Cause every more can make a mickle. No matter what you trickle, cause things so alright. So much to learn, so much to see.
Who shops at Creative Building Finishes? You, the homeowner who creates luxurious spaces with our floor and wall tiles. The contractor and builder who are convinced that our ceramic tiles are right for the job. The architect and designer who make dreams come true with our wood look and porcelain tiles. Superior customer service, knowledgeable staff, inviting showroom, and you get where this is going, right? Shop 5 Red Hills Road or call 876-929-5553. Get tiles, get Creative Building Finishes.
Upgrade your home or business with Cameron Industries and Joinery Limited. Explore a range of termite-resistant plywood, quartz, solid surface, and granite. Experience timeless elegance with our cedar doors, crafted from premium cedar stock, kiln-dried for durability and beauty. For quality and craftsmanship, visit us at the Trade Center Kingston 10 or Hatfield Mandeville. Call 876-963-0628-30. Cameron Industries and Joinery Limited. Transform your space today.
Do you need a copy of your property title? Visit eLand Jamaica to get quick access to land-related information anytime, anywhere in the world. You can also access our free integrated map from the comfort of your home or office without having to visit us. All you need is internet access and your credit card to access eLand Jamaica at nla.gov.jm or call the National Land Agency at 876-750-5263 for more information. eLand Jamaica, your guide to Jamaica's land information anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, man, you don't know, this is Naomi Cowan representing for Talk Up Youth. This on every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, me say Talk Up Youth, yeah. You have to stand for your rights now. Now is the time. Tell the people.
In life, like royalty, hey. If I ever make it in a life, you are gonna be living like royalty. So me have to set it in a right. Never ever have to think twice, no way. If I ever make it in a life, you are gonna be living like royalty. So me have to set it in a right. Never ever have to think twice, no way. Me used to sleep on Stagger Couch. Me used to sleep on Corey Couch. Them and they never left me out. Me used to live at Eddie house. Me never keep me own a key. She keep my used to let me out. Me bring him with me go LA. It's like a him get nominated. Watch the Grammy side of me. Cause how much people can you say would feed you when you're hungry, when you're broke, them bless you with money. But I have been so fortunate, surrounded by so many people, make sure say me compensating. And them the thing me can't forget. Your daughter and my daughter wants me living, she no happy fret. If I ever make it in a life, you are gonna be living like royalty. So me have to set it in a right. Never ever have to think twice, no way. If I ever make it in a life, you are gonna be living like royalty. So me have to set it in a right. Like royalty. Hey,
Roto, man, I set it like G-a-card. Remember when me get me first under a card. Cartel say clocks up than it did record. Shell the world me first, eat record. Count me blessed, them reaping the reward. Make me first meal, I remember when me used to starve. Pull up a Irish town Benz in a garage. Pops color protege, them cannot sabotage. Like a iPhone 11 summer charge. Buff my giant from the sarge. Right now them surprise, oh man I live. So me gain the blessing, yo I so me give.
Hey, if I ever make it in a life, you are gonna be living like royalty. So me have to set it in a right. Never ever have to think twice, no way. If I ever make it in a life.
Welcome back to the Talk of Youth radio show, the voice of the Jamaican Youth. Talk of Youth, Musefi.
Talk Up Youth.
And it's great to be here. It's wonderful to be here, right? And for those who are wondering, yes, it is yours truly, Demoy. And of course, we have
none other than the voice of your boy, Malik. Thank you, Demoy, for joining us this morning. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. And today, we are the voices of youth voter intention and areas of concern, and also a little discussion about how young people felt about the budget or the ongoing budget debates for 2025-2026. But I think it's always a very important discussion, and the fact that we as Talk Up Youth and Talk Up Radio get this platform, Demoy, to share our views and to also encourage other young persons to engage in these discussions is very critical, especially as we look forward to general elections 2025.
Yes.
So I think a general or generic question that we should all answer is, what motivates us to vote or to encourage others to vote in the next general election?
All right. So it's a discussion.
Yeah.
And from my end, what I have experienced is there isn't one thing that motivates everybody to vote. Everybody is motivated to vote differently. I might be motivated to vote because at the end of the day, in my community, I realize that, okay, whoever it is that is representing me is accessible. I can have a conversation with them. They're very responsive, stuff like that. I might like the process, so I'm encouraged to vote. The reality for somebody else could be that, okay, they grow up seeing their parents voting. They say that, okay, near election time, they know they got the meetings, the mass meetings and stuff. They don themselves in the colors and they go out and exercise their right. Some persons, based on education and also socialization, would say, okay, you know, I do have this right and therefore I'm going to exercise it any way I can, because historically I would have learned what my forefathers or ancestors had to do to obtain such a right.
And
So
I like how you have established it. I think that's something that all, you know, our viewers and listeners, and we say good morning again to our YouTube family, good morning again to our listeners, that as Demoy said, it's not just one thing that we should take into account to motivate us to vote. But I also liked how you ended on the fact that voting is a right.
It is.
It is a fundamental right.
It is.
And when I mean fundamental right, I want us to think about as far back as 1944, when universal adult suffrage was granted to give us this right and this privilege to vote. So it's very important that we think about more than one consideration. But for me as well, I think it's important, especially when we encourage young people, why it is important to vote. You have that current and consistent apathy towards the voting process for many young people. Because many young people think, well, they don't pay my bills. They aren't sending me to school. So what is the importance for me participating in this process?
But you see, Malik, I'm glad you said that, because this has been a narrative of a lot of young people for a very long time. And, you know, it's so funny because when they bring up this conversation, Malik, it's normally around Jamaican politics, Jamaican elections, stuff like that.
Yes.
And they truly don't understand it in terms of politics on a whole. So when the conversation is being had with young people, I always tell them, politics is not just government. It's not just PMP, JLP. Politics is everywhere. There's politics in your school. There's politics in your church. There's politics at your work. It's basically how power is wielded and controlled. So move on from that. So now that I've established that, the reason why I say it's interesting, because Jamaicans are seeing what is happening with America and with the consequences of voting for a Trump.
So
they would have seen it unravel, and then they would have seen persons just like them here who would be like, you know, I'm not engaged in the political process because it does not directly benefit me, but it does.
And I think that is the crux of the conversation. Not engaging, you'll still be impacted by the political process. And I think that's a very, very, very important point that I think as young people and as young professionals, as students, we want to engage in that. But we have some young people both online and in the studio that I think I want to pull into this conversation as well, Demoy, about, you know, youth voter intention and areas of concern. And in studio right now, we have joining us Jemar Swell, a deputy chairperson. Yes, good morning. Jemar, how are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Killer. Good morning. Doing very well this morning.
Glad to have you. And we have online Curtin. Are you here with us?
I am here, Malik. I am here.
One of our Talk Up Youth hosts and a former youth mayor for the corporate area. And we also have Nashe Baker. Nashe, are you hearing us?
Good morning. Yes, I'm here.
President of CMU and a youth parliamentarian as well. Good morning, and welcome to the show. So we're having this general discussion here, gentlemen, about youth voter intention and political engagement generally. And I think you who are youth leaders and in the space need to help us to understand first and foremost.
No, but before, wait.
No, we want them to understand first and
go
foremost.
on.
Do you feel like the voices of young people are heard in the current political landscape? Let's start with you.
All right. So, from my perspective as a youth leader, I've been in the youth space for a while now. I've been a former youth parliamentarian and various capacities. In this context, especially in the budget that I'm seeing right now.
No one reached the budget yet. In terms of the general current political landscape, do you
feel like
the voice of young people are being heard?
All right. So I'll say somewhat yes, but not
quantify
to
that
the
response.
not to the context I would like it to be. So we see it in terms of stages being implemented for youth. For example, I've seen recently there's a increase in the amount of student loans being given to students, and in the increase in the types of loans that we can achieve. There are many other areas that we've been privy to by the government, but there's still room for improvement. I would say that.
What about you, Cardine and Nashe? Go, Cardine.
Well, thank you again, Malik. I really think that youth voices are being heard, Malik, but just the way how it's amplified.
Yes.
Because not everyone really go there and say, that I had a meeting with some students from the University of Technology or from the University of West Indies yesterday, and we had some fruitful discussions in terms of how to improve policies. Not all the time we see persons coming out and speaking about that. So the fact of the matter is that youth voices are being heard, but it's just not being amplified outside to the media on a whole, so everyone can really see, and it's really publicized in a sense. If you get what I'm saying.
And Nashe?
Yes, I definitely agree with Curdy. The youth voices are being heard more. I think that's more due to the fact that the politicians are realizing, and more youths are realizing that politics is for youth. It's discussing our future, and we must play a very vital role in that. And I think with the use of the media, our voices can be heard right across the nation.
All right. So based on just a follow up to this question, all three of you would have agreed that in the current political landscape, the youth voices are being heard. How well? All three of you, we have the information here. All three of you would have been involved where youth are concerned. Over 10-year time, over different. You represent different areas, different spaces. How has those voices been collected per se and escalated to the leadership or to the political leaders for it to be heard? How do you gather or galvanize
Members
the
of the
thoughts,
demographic,
the members of a demographic? Because I asked that question because I heard Curdine mention amplifying, and also he also in the same statement mentioned the universities, which is always a concern for me where youth leadership is concerned, because we see the universities, we think that okay, this is already body, but what happened to the unattached youth who make up much more, the other percentage in my head right now, but much more than the youth that are attached and are involved in universities. So how is it that you would have helped to amplify these voices, and how is it that these voices have been heard per se?
All right, so I'm currently in the capacity as treasurer for the Portmore Municipal Youth Council. So we have done a lot of advocacy work for the youth in the parish, recent parish. So many of the projects that we focus on is for youth opportunity seeking. A lot of the areas that I see that youth are having issues with, especially with unattached youth, is employment opportunities. We have seen that youth unemployment have decreased over the last several years, but more still can be done. I believe the government is trying, but more needs to be done nonetheless. We have the removal of fees from HART, and the addition, I recall that the government have implemented a policy that they cover the bus fare and lunch money for students. So there really isn't any.
Sorry, repeat that.
Yeah. So what I've realized, I've found that the government has now instituted a program that covers lunch money and bus fare to go to HART for training.
That was announced in November.
Yes, that's a pretty good step, and I believe that took years of advocacy for that to take place. But back to the question that you mentioned about unattached youth, we youth leaders always advocate for youth in our spaces,
right?
But most of the time, when we, for example, host our various events or various town halls, a lot of the youths who are sitting down on the corner, unemployed, as you say, unattached, it's quite difficult to actually reach out to them, but it's not impossible. I think more needs to be done from our side and the powers that be to reach out to these persons. We need to connect the dots to bring the opportunities that are present to the youth that are unattached.
All right, we
And I like that,
yeah.
and I like that point that you made, that you've recognized that
Mhm.
more can be done even from those young people who are already involved as youth leaders.
Yeah.
Curdy and Nashe, what are your views on that? How have you, through even your platforms, helped to amplify the work that you do so that the parliamentarians or the politicians of the day can recognize young people?
Malik, so I like the aspect in which the more I touched on earlier pertaining to the grassroots young people. And I must say that initially, before being exposed in all these organizations currently, it was always about the grassroots for me. So initially I actually had a chance to actually go out in my constituency and interact with all these young people, whether from one community or the other community, getting them all together in one space and actually listening to them concerns and their queries about certain things that they're just facing in today's society.
Right.
That was also a part of the process of being a youth parliamentarian, to actually go out and listen to the voices of young people. And I must thank the National Youth Parliament for that experience, because it also helps to also amplify their voices, because when we actually went in these constituencies and listened to their concerns, we actually came and sit down and say, here, these are some of the issues that we are continuously hearing, whether it be from persons that are in the county of Surrey, persons that are in the county of Middlesex. Are these the same issues that youths are facing, whether they're in two different counties? And that is where the National Youth Parliament came up with a strategy of implementing and also saying that, hey, we're going to provide a platform. You're going to come and voice these concerns that the young people are having. So persons out there, parliamentarians, persons who are in high decision making, policy makers can actually hear some of the concerns of young people. So that was one of the main ways for me we sort of amplified the young people's voice. And also, when I was youth mayor, I did a lot of systematic approaches in a sense in which we have junior counselors from 40 different schools in the division,
Right.
and we listen to each and every junior counselor concerns to come and draft up a resolution for the junior council in which we could attack some of these issues and some of these problems that students from different schools are facing.
What were some of those
Whether-
issues or problems?
So some of them, well, in my cohort, not my cohort, the last cohort before mine,
Right.
some of the junior counselors, they came up with an idea of a resolution at that, to allow all students in high schools to. This was around a period in which high crime, well, not high, sorry, but a lot of school wars and school affiliated
School violence.
stuff were happening
Yes.
around that time. So they came up with the resolution of saying that, hey, we're going to sit down with the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Education to say, hey, we see how Jamaica, how the cadet force has impacted a lot of students. So why not actually allow students who are just entering high school to actually have a chance, at least 1 year or so, to enter the cadet force, to help them to be a more rounded and disciplined students. And this was one of the resolution that was passed by the junior councillors of the KCMC Junior Council in 2023.
So that made it mandatory for students as they enter high school to join cadet, or they still had the choice of joining cadet?
So it was basically along those lines. And moving into 2024, which is my year, we really like amplify the voice of young persons also about the environment. One of the crucial issues in my year group was the pollution around us. So a lot of young persons were really concerned about like sometimes you're walking and seeing a lot of garbage on the road. So one of all the resolution that we did was to partner with the KCMC to do a yearly cleanup of the corporate area. So some of those stuff include like going down by downtown Kingston, having a cleanup. We visit different sites, different waste sites also to help to learn and understand how to manage these waste properly, so that as young people we can go back in our schools and assist them in terms of managing and recycling, and also creating a safer and better environment for the future generation. So
Thanks for
those were just
sharing
some of
that,
the things.
Cardine. I want to bring in Nashe before he feels very out of place. So
Yeah.
Nashe, talk about how as well you have allowed through your youth spaces to amplify the voice of young people for the representation to be aware of what you are doing.
All right, thank you, Malik. Currently, let me first state the credit on behalf of the 2023 cohort of Junior Council. Yes, we did put in the work, and I'm happy to see that it's still evident after we left. But yes, especially as a youth parliamentarian and former junior council as well, going into these communities and my different constituencies, I think when during my time in junior council, I only got the chance to go into my division maybe once. But speaking to these young persons, you realize that reaching youth, as you said, most youths, a good amount are not in university as of this moment, and you cannot approach every youth the same. So most times the youth are not hard to reach; they're just rarely approached in the right way and by the right people. I think the first thing we need to do is we're going into their communities, understanding who they are, understanding where they're coming from. I speak to youth from different social classes, and you can't speak to all of them the same. All of them don't respond the same. All of them are not involved in the same programs and initiatives. And the main thing I do, even after I speak to a youth or whenever I go into their communities and they say, "Sir, I don't know about this. Sir, I would love to be a part of it, but I personally don't think I'm qualified." I always tell them, let the organization tell you that you're not qualified. Put in the work, get involved in as much organization as possible. We youths now, my Curdy and forgive me, but the other interviewee, we have been given a platform
Jemar.
within the public community. And I believe we should also bring other youth within this community so that their voice can also be heard. As much youth as possible. Because I truly believe that getting the voice as much youth as possible will truly be the difference that this country needs.
All right, quickly, we have to take a break, but I want to hear each of you in probably about 30 seconds because this conversation is
Has to
very
continue,
interesting.
yeah.
It has to continue. But we have an upcoming elections. Do you see where your political leaders and parties align with your values? Yes or no? Let's start with the one in studio.
All right, for
30
me-
seconds.
All right, 30
Mhm.
seconds. So, what I'm seeing with particularly one of the political parties is
Mhm.
more aligned with my vision for not only for young people but the country in general.
And your values?
And yes, and also my values.
Mhm.
I'll just end with that.
All right, Curdin.
Well, to be honest, the more I am still looking, especially in the election year. I'm waiting for some of the completion of the budget, of course, and to see how both political parties move forward into planning a future for young people. But so far, I think, in a sense, I do see one specific party who actually is advocating and representing for young people. So I would say, yeah, and for my values personally, I would say, yeah.
All right, and Nashe.
Right, so yes, I do also see a political party that I truly believe is representing what I'd like to see be executed in the next 4 years.
Mhm.
I've gotten the chance because of the youth organization to personally speak to these ministers and pose them questions, and I feel like yes, I do
So
see
you
a
have the
party.
access, so that made your decision a bit better.
Yes, very
All right, we're
much.
gonna have to take a quick break. When we come back, we have more questions to ask because trust me, big things are going on at the political season. The place festive, and I think we have an interesting bunch of youth leaders that we're
And
speaking
young
to.
people have a space in elections. That's
Most
what it's all
definitely.
about.
So we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, more on this conversation on the other side. Talk up you, Musefi.
Talk up you. We soon come back.
What gon' be living like royalty? So me happy say the thing alright. Never ever happy think twice, don't worry. If I ever make it in a life, you are gonna be living like royalty. So me have to set the thing right, like royalty, royalty. Hey.
Talk up, youths. Hey. Oh, yeah, boy. Listen. Right about now, we want to tell them. We tell them, say, youths, you have to stand for your rights now. Now is the time. Youth for chat and youth for act and youth for unite right now. No silence, you youth. You have to stand for your rights now. Now is the time.
Tell the people.
Strong financial records are the backbone of every successful business. Let Dodge & Global handle your accounting needs from bookkeeping to financial reporting so you can focus on growth. Call us at 876-929-3670 or 876-926-5210. Email us at info@dodgen.global or visit us at dodgen.global. Dodge & Global, we make numbers work for you.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Hiring is tough. You spend weeks, maybe months searching but still can't find the right fit. And even when you do, onboarding, payroll, and benefits become another headache. Stop wasting time. Let Talentbox Caribbean do the work at a fraction of the cost. From sourcing to interviewing, we do it all. Don't settle for the wrong hire. Schedule your strategy call today. Call 876-960-0066 or visit www.talentboxcaribbean.com. Talentbox Caribbean, connection made easy.
This is a public advisory. On Sunday, March 16, 2025, the Mayor's Parlor will be aired from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Labor rights? Kevin Frith hosts Area Council 1 meeting in St. Andrews Southeastern this Sunday, March 16 at YWCA 51 Arnold Road, 4:30 p.m. Deputy Leader Desmond McKenzie rallies the team with MPs Juliet Holness, Favour Williams, Matthew Samuda, Dwayne Smith, Senators Apka Fitzhenley, Marlon Morgan, Delano Seavright, Council Caretaker Camilyn Reed and others. We ring the bell as we come to you, standing on a strong record of performance. JLP active and strong. Area Council 1 meeting hosted by Kevin Frith this Sunday, YWCA 4:30 p.m. See you there!
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM from 6 to 9 p.m. It's the Area Council 1 meeting at YWCA School Leavers Institute, Sunday, March 16. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the West Kingston constituency and the Jamaica Labour Party. Due to the broadcast of the Area Council 1 meeting on Sunday, March 16, Jamaican Dads, Immaculate Moments, and Baha'i Faith will not be aired.
Talk up youth and talk the truth. I act the bush that representing for Talk Up Youth here and nationwide, 90 FM, every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Bush!
Me now watch no face, beg no more pardon. Enough drugs, money they a cherry garden. Enough individual society applauding. You can ask anybody where them get them starting. But no politician take a donation. So no criminal will never see a station. Never see a cell, not even a courthouse. But every Sunday we see them take a boat out. North Coast Resort and car dealer.
Welcome back to the Talk Up Youth Radio Show, the voice of the Jamaican youth. And if you're just joining us, you have, of course, my voice, Demoy Whiteley, and of course,
the voice of none other than the boy Malik. And we are the voices today of youth voter interest and also the budget debate 2025-2026. And we had such a wonderful introductory discussion. You know, Demo and I were just speaking about generally what motivates us to vote. And it has to boil down to a combination of factors. It can't be one factor. And then we start to engage with some of our youth leaders or other youth leaders. Because even though you have a few grays now, Demo, it's, you know,
I am gracefully bowing out of this thing.
So, you know, youth leaders who are on the ground about what motivates them and some of the things that are concerns that they have in how they can amplify their voice. And they've heard as well. So now we are going to be joined by Keenan Faulkner, an economist, policy analyst, and academic researcher, and his experiences in the field have spanned the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Bank of Jamaica, and the International Monetary Fund. And he holds a Bachelor's of Science double major in Economics and Banking and Finance and a Master of Science in Economic Development Policy, both from the University of the West Indies, Mona, as well as professional certificates from Harvard University and the University of Oxford. And of course, he is a Talk Up Youth alumni. And so, Keenan, welcome, and good morning. Are you hearing us, Keenan?
Keenan?
I think he's having...
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you now. Clearly. So welcome, Keenan. You know you're no stranger. You're a family here to us on the Talk Up Youth Radio show. And so we've started this conversation, but we want to shift gears a little bit to speak about, you know, when we understand this whole concept about the budget and the budget debate, give us a little bit of the, what I'd like to say, economics 101 for young people. So, you know, based on your experience and analysis, what are the most important growth indicators we should focus on as we move through 2025, generally?
All right. So, morning again, guys. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
All right. So, I mean, when you think about the budget and growth indicators, I think persons look at the budget in a sort of disjointed way.
Abstract.
You know, we have to look at the budget more in a consolidated sense, in meaning to say that you think about tax revenue, right? Tax revenue is paid by everybody. And you're thinking about $1 trillion of Jamaican tax revenue, which funds everything else, right? Schools, roads, hospitals, bridges, and so on. So you think about capital expenditure, that is where you get economic growth from, right? As around 62 billion is being projected to be spent on things like new police stations, new hospital infrastructure, new roads, water, because that's where you get the growth from. And you look at other parts of the budget, unfortunately, some of the allocations have had to be decreased because of some of the fallout in tax revenue. So, for example, agriculture got less money, national security, local government, even education and youth got less money than it did the previous year. But the budget in overall terms went down, and that was because we have fewer debt repayments this year than the previous year. But I just, want young people to think about the budget in the sense that it is your money. All of this spending affects everybody in different ways, but it does affect everybody at least indirectly, and everybody contributes to funding it. So that's why it's important to follow these debates. These are the things that affect you. On the youth side, there are some of the things that affect you particularly. Look at, for example, SLB. Yes. The SLB repayment period has been it has been proposed to be extended to 10 years. And those are things that affect youth. PASS has been expanded. Those things that also affect youth. You think about other policies that I think will come later on in the budget debate this week when the party leaders speak. But NHT, whatever benefits come out of that, or the policies geared towards young people wanting to own a home, those are things that come out of it. You think about things that help you to transport, JUTC, whatever reforms are happening there, or plans for spending there, how people move around. car policies, did it really make it easier to buy a car?
So basically, the everyday thing,
Yeah.
you're basically suggesting that we shouldn't look at it abstract, but look on the whole, because the budget does affect everything, especially where young
Yeah.
people are concerned.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So speaking on fiscal responsibility, what role do you see fiscal responsibility playing in Jamaica's economic future? Can fiscal prudence truly help us to reduce debt, improve the public services, you just mentioned JUTC, stuff like that, and create space for investments?
Yeah, and it has been doing that for the last 10 years
Mhm.
across both parties. So it is absolutely necessary to continue to have it. It's not something that you can trade off or give up for something else. And just to illustrate the point, the effects of fiscal responsibility are most acutely felt when it's not present. So it's not when it's there, but when it's absent. In the past, we used to have a situation where 70% of every tax dollar just went to paying interest costs on debt.
Mm-hmm.
So you had no money left over effectively after that to pay teachers, doctors, nurses, policemen, to fix roads. You had to borrow. And then borrowing now would put your future generations in a worse position.
Yeah.
So now we have managed to reverse that situation where our borrowings are basically stable. In effect, we borrow, we pay back roughly more per year than we borrow each year, right? So you have to think about it now, not just in the present, but what does it look like 30 years down the line when you and I and Malik were all born 30 plus years ago? Things
30.
were very-
Where Keenan know my age from?
Hold on right there. Come. Don't get ridiculous now. Continue.
I mean, you both, I'm talking the truth, but yeah.
Keenan.
It's true, because Demo has grace, Keenan. Keep going.
Keenan, you get a pass because we're friends. You can continue.
Well, it's just to illustrate, over the course of a generation, right, things look very different back then.
Right.
After a financial meltdown, and then most of the money that we earned had to go back to repaying debt. And now we have opened up the space. You spoke about fiscal space. That's exactly what it means. So all of the public sector salary wage increases, for example, that was because of opened up fiscal space. We didn't just snap a finger and got money and were able to pay it. It was because we had put our fiscal house in order.
I have a technical question to ask you, Keenan, and I want you to break it down so that even me, I probably don't mean economics, can understand. Given your experience with organizations like IMF and the Bank of Jamaica, how do you think international financial institutions view Jamaica's fiscal responsibility and economic trajectory? Are we seen as a model for other developing nations, or are there areas where we need to improve to maintain this image?
No, I think we are definitely seen as a model. It has been spoken about very much in international circles because it is without precedent. There has been no other country in the world that has been able to reduce its debt from around 150% of GDP in 2012, that's 13 years ago, to half of that today. And that took a lot of effort, across, and it's not a political effort either. It started under one administration, continued under the other one. And so it just shows what is possible when there is social consensus. It also needed the buy-in of the people, because the people now had to bear some of the brunt of the adjustment. The technocrats who worked on the reforms, the politicians who were able to drive it publicly. So it was an all of society effort. It was a national project, and for that reason, it stands as a case study. Really,
and even those who probably had to take a, well, I don't know if they did wage freeze at that time or they didn't know, but stuff like that in terms of not having increases and stuff like that. So everybody had to bear that burden. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, man. Everybody had to chip in. So that's why it's so important to preserve, because it's not just something that was done by one set of people or something that benefits only one set of persons. It was, we were at the edge of a cliff and we sort of pulled back very, very slowly.
I'm interested, Keelan, in finding out, Jamaica's fiscal challenges have been closely linked to, as you've mentioned, even revenue collection and public spending. What are some policy changes you would suggest to ensure fiscal responsibility without stifling our economic growth?
Well, we should just continue in the same vein, which is to efficiently be able to collect the revenues that are due to the government.
Right.
So when you think about in the past, in the 1990s, we only collect, let's say, around less than half of GCT that is actually due. Now it's well over 80%. So for that reason, you don't need to levy taxes on the population. It was just all about consolidating our ability to collect revenue. But at the same time, we shouldn't focus only on just fiscally consolidating. Now is the time to grow, because we have spent a lot of time talking about stabilization. I would say Jamaica is probably the most stable it has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
But now we need to grow. What that means is getting better paying jobs for people, and you only do that by being able to now attract higher paying jobs. And that is also linked to the education profile. You have to know really seriously upskill persons that they can be able to earn more, because that is what is going to drive growth. It's not just about stability. It's now about trying to raise incomes, and when you raise incomes, you raise persons' quality of life.
All right, and my last question, or the last question, how important is it for young Jamaican economists like yourself to engage with policymakers to influence the country's economic future?
No, it's definitely important, because just think about it. Referring back to our ages again, in 30 years' time, when we are, very old, we want to look back and say the last 30 years were good years, especially for young persons who would have been born in that time. We can't mortgage the future of young people by making reckless decisions in the present. And that's why it's important to engage with the persons who are directly in a position to be able to influence all of that going forward. And all of that goes back to fiscal policy, because you can't do anything without money. All the other ministries rely on what the Ministry of Finance does, how it allocates expenditure, what are the spending priorities. And so those are careful decisions that require a lot of scrutiny in the present day.
And I know I said the last question, but I was just thinking, Keenan, do you think that there's more that you and the other young Jamaican economists, do you think that there's more that you guys can do to help the average young person, as following the conversation that we've been having from morning in terms of the unattached and the attached and stuff like that, and getting involved, knowing and stuff? Do you think that there's more that the young economists and probably even our economists and our Ministry of Finance can do to make the budget a bit more digestible for all Jamaicans, walks of life, all Jamaicans? Because, Keenan, the expenditure, the big yellow book that I call it, God say no. You understand? And that is me with an education. Malik, I don't know if you ever got through it or you just got through it for your little area there to see how much money you have to spend and stuff like that. But how is it that you guys can help to translate the budget for it to be more digestible for the average Jamaican, average young person?
Well, we have the Citizen's Guide to the Budget. It's published along with it. It's a very useful summary. I think it's been done for the last 4 years. That was one of the reforms, I think, that the World Bank had suggested.
Right.
But part of it, the problem is really visibility. So that's why I make a personal effort to take interviews like this, where I can explain to the public for their benefit.
Is this the sixth one, Keenan? Is this the sixth one? Because I remember you were saying you did 5 since.
Well, I lost count.
Must lost count by now, but yes, Keenan, continue.
But I think, even on social media, I try both in traditional and social media to get the figures and the facts out there so that persons can understand. More persons who are in my cohort also tend to do the same. But I think it probably needs a bigger push, that in terms of having more visible.
A bigger push and probably a more targeted approach as well. No come together and say, all right, this way I go do. While Minister Williams is making the budget presentation, we say, I could do a breakdown in a simple way to the average man, so and so. Your tweets reach everywhere, so that's just a suggestion. But we're going to have to wrap up this session, Keenan, and let me just tell you, it's always a pleasure to sit and hear from you when you do speak of things in this area. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, definitely. I always appreciate the opportunity.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have much more on the other side to discuss. We have the young people in studio. We want to hear their thoughts on a lot of things. Keenan would have laid the way where the budget is concerned and the whole economic aspect of it. I want to hear their views on that. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have our young persons in studio and online chiming in on the conversation. This is Talk Up Youth Radio right here on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Musefi.
Talk Up Youth. We soon come back.
My history of violence, giving you an avenue, express yourself, making you less reliant on the history of violence.
Bad man come in on the broad day, AR-15 cleared all way.
Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Water Means Food World Water Day Forum and Training Session at Ebony Park Heart Academy, Osborne Store, Clarendon on Thursday, March 20. Join us for exciting displays, exhibitions from agricultural agencies, on-the-spot prizes and giveaways. Plus, get practical training on water use efficiency for your farm. Don't miss out. Come learn, connect, and celebrate World Water Day. So tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Water Means Food World Water Day Forum and Training Session at Ebony Park Heart Academy, Osborne Store, Clarendon on Thursday, March 20. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the National Irrigation Commission Limited. Irrigation, making the difference in agriculture.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jack on my figure, dig the wall. Our total tools. Lead walk a figure, trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Outer Rias, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston. And lot C6 Jackson, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Tune in to our program live from our YouTube channel, Nationwide 90 FM. And remember to like, subscribe, and share our content. And we're also on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
This is a public advisory. On Sunday, March 16, 2025, the Mayor's Parlor will be aired from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
You will make a way.
Talk Up Youth and Talk the Truth. I ask the bush that representing for Talk Up Youths here and Nationwide 90 FM every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Bush.
Oh God. Some days high and some days low, but I will not give up, no I won't let go. I know God will make a way for me, yeah. Oh, I keep troubles on the left, troubles on the right, trusting in you, oh God, I know I'll be
Up Radio Show, the voice of the Jamaican youth, coming to you live here on Nationwide 90 FM. And today we are the youth voices of elections 2025 coming up, as well as the budget debate 2025-2026. You are locked and loaded into the best revolution station here, Nationwide 90 FM, and you are listening to none other than the voice of your boy Malik. And
of course, you're listening to the voice of Demoy.
And I just saying to him that, in our usual social media promo, it's usually me and him, and we have not been in studio together for so long. Demoy, welcome to seeing you in a very long time. I mean, I watch you when you're here by yourself.
And I watch you when you're here as well.
But, we're never here together. So it's just so good to be back
and
in
we
studio.
started off, person might be wondering, where's your shirt? Because I know we have the
same shirt. We have the
same
same
shirt.
shirt. Yeah.
Right.
So we have been discussing the budget and youth voter interest or lack of interest, and now we're continuing to shift gears a bit because Demoy a while ago had a lovely segment with Keenan, a young economist and a member of the Talk Up Youth family generally. And now we want to speak with Mr. Cleveland Tomlinson, junior opposition spokesperson on finance and planning. Now, the national budget, as we said, is the government's expenditure and revenue estimates, and it's presented for parliamentary approval at the start of each financial year, which is March and April of the following year. The budget is prepared by the public service into what is termed heads of estimates and reflects the government's development policies and priorities. So far, the Honourable Minister Favour Williams opened the budget debated on Tuesday of this week, followed by opposition spokesman on finance, Mr. Julian Robinson, who made his contribution on Thursday, March 13th. That was this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cleveland, welcome to the Talk Up Youth Radio Show. You're also no stranger to our family, so thank you for joining us today. So just a general question. Are you first able to hear us?
Hi, yes, I can hear you. Morning or afternoon. Hi, Demoy. Hi, Malik. And afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you so much. What's your overall assessment of the budget presentation? And how do you think it addresses Jamaica's economic challenges?
Well, I can start by giving my assessment of the minister's presentation, and then I can contrast that with the presentation from Julian. I think firstly, one must commend the minister for being the first female minister to open a budget debate. I think generally one can say that she performed above expectations. I think she entered the debate with low expectations. But an assessment of her coming out of the debate at the end of her presentation is that she performed well. But what did we hear? I think we did not hear anything revolutionary. What we heard were the same things, the same approach that the government has been pursuing for the last 9 years, and an approach that we on our side regard as tinkering around the edges. We have heard some commendable things, but it's nothing that will drive the economy to achieve higher levels of sustainable growth, and that is what we need right now. We have not heard any concerted growth-inducing investments on the part of the government coming out of the minister's speech. And really, we cannot continue to tinker around the edges. If you look at the minister's fiscal policy paper, it tells us that over the next 4 years, we are projected to have an average growth rate of 1%. Up to 28-29 fiscal year, the economy, as projected by the government, is expected to grow by 1%. That is woefully unacceptable. We cannot improve the quality of life for Jamaicans if we continue to meander around 1%, 1.5% growth. We did not hear any coordinated strategy from the minister, and I think that heading into the budget debate, the great expectation that many persons had of her and the government by an extension is how will we achieve higher levels of sustainable growth. Contrast that with the presentation from the opposition. You heard a clear, coordinated and cohesive strategy underpinned by what the opposition has called the 4E strategy, which includes energy, a huge focus on energy, lowering the energy costs so that we can drive growth, encouraging efficiency across business and efficiency in government, a huge focus on education, and the final E is a major focus on the emerging economies that present huge potential for growth. And all of these 4 strategies are coordinated and are geared towards achieving what we call export-led growth. Jamaica will never become wealthy by selling to its 3 million people, selling within our borders. We really need to improve the value added to our products, and we really need to get out of this low growth, low wage, low income system that we have been stuck in for the last 2 decades.
I hear you, Cleveland, saying, though, thinking around the edges, and, you spoke about, the comparing and contrasting the minister versus the opposition speakers' presentations. But is there growth currently? Because the average Jamaican wants to hear, yes, there's growth, even if, in your estimation, there has been nothing new coming from the current debate. Is there still growth happening and maintaining that path?
Absolutely
is
not.
there anything wrong with that?
Absolutely not. There's no growth happening. You do not have to take my word for it. You can just look at the data that's presented by Satin.
Well, Cleveland, what was the 1% you mentioned just now?
Hold on, I respond to that. So growth is positive. Let's not confuse that.
Mm-hmm.
The projections over the next 4 years is a positive growth rate. 1% is positive. But 1% is woefully below what is needed to drive the economy. It's way below what is needed to provide the quality of life for Jamaicans. And I want to make an important point here, why growth is important and why growth at higher levels is important. Because higher growth translates into higher tax revenues for the government. With higher tax revenues, government will be able to deliver on many of its commitments. It will be able to improve the delivery of key services that directly interface with Jamaicans and directly contribute to their standard of living. So that is why growth is very important. And we have seen in the past, certainly, the sort of ways in which the administration has had to bridge the gap in its financing because of low growth. I'll give you one. The Norman Manley securitization deal that the government entered into last year, when it securitized future revenues from the Norman Manley International Airport, is a direct consequence of the inability of the administration to grow the economy to get higher levels of revenues. So many of the revenue measures that the Minister of Finance announced in the fiscal year that is ending, that's the 2024-2025 fiscal year, were financed from revenues that we have taken from the future through securitization. I'll also give you another consequence of low growth, is the fact that we had to sell our shares in Trans Jamaica to get the $9 billion so that we can use it to fund the budget this year. Those are direct consequences of low growth. So they have material implications. So it's not a concept that is detached from the realities of the Jamaican people. You cannot improve the roads. You cannot improve the hospitals. You cannot get water distributed across the island. You cannot pay your workers well without growth. And we have not heard that from the administration. I'll tell you, before the pandemic in 2020, the average growth rate over the 4 years of the Holness administration was 1.25%. In 2016, the economy grew by 1.5%. In 2017, 0.7%. 2018, 1.8%. 2019, a mere 1%. And the administration loves to tout that it has had excellent growth that has only been disrupted by COVID and Hurricane Beryl. But the data does not support this kind of narrative, because prior to the arrival of the pandemic in March 2020, the 3 quarters prior to that, the economy was decelerating, meaning we had positive growth rates, but they were declining growth rates. And again, the same occurrence happened prior to Hurricane Beryl. Prior to Hurricane Beryl in July 2024, the economy was decelerating. We had positive growth rates, but they were declining. April to June, 1.3%. But before that, April to June 2019, October to December 2023, rather, 1.6%. January to March 2024, 1.2%. April to June 2024, right before the arrival of Hurricane Beryl, 0.3%.
So you're mentioning all these aspects of growth.
Exactly.
So
this is the data. This is the record.
So shift a little bit for us, Cleveland, and Explain for us now, how do you think the budget will impact the lives of ordinary Jamaicans, particularly those in vulnerable communities? Because you've given us these percentages and these statistics of general growth. For the average listener, the average viewer, just want to understand how will it impact the lives, especially for those in vulnerable communities.
Well, really, like I opened up in my statement, this is not a budget that will lift majority of the Jamaican people to a higher standard of living. The focus of the administration in this budget is misplaced. What was a major priority coming out of this budget? The reduction in tariffs that new cars importers paid. Now, that's not going to benefit the average Jamaican. I know the narrative is going to be said that, new cars will be sold at cheaper rates. We're not necessarily sure that will happen. We'll have to see if that materializes. But the reality is that it's a misplaced focus, and that is what has characterized the Holness administration for much of its 9 years in office. In terms of directly cushioning the cost of living crisis that's facing the people, we have not heard much from the administration. If you contrast that with what Julian presented, you heard 3 key measures that will be pursued under the next PNP administration in the short term to respond to the cost of living impacts on the average Jamaican. And our strategy is 3-tiered: short term, medium term, and long term. But in the short term, people need to feel some immediate support. And when we get into office, those 3 initiatives that we indicated for young Jamaicans with the adjustment of the moratorium for borrowers from SLB and also capping water bill at a flat rate for our elders, in addition to the implementing of the EASE program to support parents who are struggling to find lunch money for their children. We have not heard any of these measures akin to what Julian presented in the minister's presentation. Misplaced focus.
I'm glad you mentioned SLB because I want to ask you now, how do you envision the SLB or the Student Loan Bureau's role in increasing access to higher education for Jamaican students?
It's a critical role. There is no understating that. The reality is that many Jamaicans are unable to access tertiary education because of the lack of financing. Not every Jamaican has the capacity, or Jamaican parents have the capacity to save sufficiently to offset the tuition expenses, the living expenses, the accommodation expenses for their children. So you really need to pursue funding through the SLB. But the SLB, as at now, whilst it has been undergoing changes that are commendable, we think it needs more retrofitting. So there is no understating the importance of the SLB. And we think that there are some measures that we will implement that will make it much more affordable for the average Jamaican to be able to repay their student loan after they have access loans from the SLB. And that one includes extending the moratorium by 6 months. So currently it's at 14 months. When we extend that, it will be 20 months. Because we want persons to be able to settle in to their employment before they are faced with the burden of repaying their student loan. Because really, the reality is that we need higher skilled laborers in the industries. We need to boost productivity, and we need people who are competent for the positions that they're employed in. And that directly requires that we need people to be educated at the tertiary level. And how do we get greater people accessing tertiary education? By providing the necessary financing to support that goal.
All right, let's move on to, no. You mentioned one. Did I miss it, Malik? Did he mention other?
No, you can go ahead and answer.
I want to hear, because you mentioned one of the reforms that you would propose where the Bureau is concerned.
Right.
What else?
Right, yeah, there is another one. Thank you for the prodding. So we are also going to structure a system whereby SLB borrowers will be able to negotiate the amount of their repayment based on their income levels. And Julia gave an example, and I'll give one here. Let's say that you borrowed $2 million from SLB, and based on the interest rate at which you acquired the loan, let's say that your monthly payment should be 40,000. I'm just using some rough figures here. Let's say your monthly payment should be 40,000. But the job that you get initially, many times as university graduates, is not the job that most times you are qualified for. Usually you're just getting some work experience, so you're not in a job that's able to compensate you appropriately or compensate you commensurate to your qualification.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we call underemployment, and we have a proliferation of underemployment in the economy. But in addition to that, persons who just exit tertiary education are burdened, especially if you're not originally from Kingston and St. Andrew and your job is in that area. You're burdened with rent, utilities, etc., transportation. You want to acquire a vehicle, you're burdened with the fact that you have to take out a loan to acquire a vehicle. So the cost, the financial burdens on young people exiting tertiary education, enormous. So what we're saying to SLB borrowers is that you will be able to come to the SLB, present your payslip, say that this is the amount at which you are being compensated from your job, and negotiate the amount that you are able to pay. So you know that we will not in that case hold you to paying the $40,000 per month. We will say if you can pay 20 based on the income that you are generating from your job, then we will allow you to pay 20. But importantly is that we are going to remove the classification that says you are delinquent. Because currently, there is a classification given to SLB borrowers if they pay below what they are required. Even though they are paying, they're still regarded as delinquent. And this has serious implications for them. This impacts their credit score. We live in the kind of society, the kind of world where your credit score is very important. If you want to access a credit card, your credit score is taken into account. If you want loans to finance your vehicle, your credit score is taken into account. If you want a mortgage, your credit score is taken into account. So we want to provide SLB borrowers with the flexibility to repay their loans based on the income that they are generating without allowing for there to be further consequences to other aspects of their lives.
All right.
I have financing.
Thank you for that, Cleveland. I have a little question for that point that you made. Very interesting, by the way. And then I have a final question for you. So is the case where, okay, if I go in, let's say Malik, I go in and I negotiate, okay, I can pay $30,000. I'm now able to pay $30,000 based on my salary, based on the workout and stuff. I can pay $30,000. I probably switch jobs, probably get a lesser paying job. Can I go in, say probably 3-6 months and be like, okay,
you can't afford the 30.
I can't afford the 30. Can I pay the 20? No, and all right, move on from that, get a better paying job. Can I pay the 40? Does it have that level of flexibility where I can go in and revise
because
the arrangement?
What we will do is that at different intervals, we will have you bring in your payslip to verify the amount that you're getting. So let's say that you come the first instance, you say you can't pay the 40, and we allow you to pay 20 based on the payslip that you provided, and we see the income that you're making. Let's say we allow you to pay that 20 for a year, and we might check and say, have you received new employment within a year? If no, we'll ask you to verify that. And if it's the same, if you're still getting the same salary, we'll maintain your repayment amount at the same amount that we gave it to you originally.
Right.
If, let's say, you got new employment and you're earning a higher income, we will ask you to pay a higher amount. So at every time that you get a new job and you're earning, or let's say you're earning a higher level of income, you can be in the same job and your income increases.
Yeah. Right.
We will assess your repayment based on that income. So it's not one rate that you're going to pay for 5 years, 6 years. At different intervals, we're going to ask you to just verify the amount of income that you're earning, and we will take it from there in terms of negotiating the amount that you're supposed to pay.
I mean, I like that flexibility, Cleveland, but I'm just saying, for any young person, I don't like debt. So whether I started at 30, if once my financial position improves, I'm going to pay more because I want to get rid of that debt.
Exactly.
But I also
you
think
are.
that
You
it's good
are.
because
I don't know if there are SLB borrowers, given how stringent SLB is expected to ramp up its collection measures. I don't know SLB borrowers who have debt and have the capacity to pay it off and don't want to pay it off.
Right.
Especially given that SLB currently is strengthening its collection measures, coordinating with credit bureaus overseas, and just strengthening its operations with respect to recouping monies loaned to students.
All right, Cleveland, the final question, I want it as short as possible. Minister Williams ended her presentation indicating that there were no new taxes for the 8th consecutive year.
Yeah.
How sustainable do you think this is for the growth of the economy? That is one. And two, what can we expect from the opposition leaders' budget presentation next Tuesday?
Well, let's start with no new taxes and whether this is sustainable. The opposition at this time does not see the need for the imposition of any new taxes. So I want to make that absolutely clear for the Jamaican people.
Yes.
Under the next PNP administration, there will be the imposition of no taxes. No new taxes will be imposed, nor do we intend or see the need to increase existing tax rates. We think that several and all the tax reforms that we implemented in our last PNP administration between 2012 and 2016 have augured well for government tax revenue collection. All those measures have increased the efficiency in tax collection and have resulted in the wholeness administration being able to realize higher revenues in tax collection. That is why they have been able to come for the last 9 years to say no new taxes,
right,
primarily because of the measures of the last PNP government. It's not the creativity on their part. They have higher tax revenues because of the reforms that we implemented.
And
but in terms of what
no,
you can
yes.
expect from the opposition leader, you will hear a continuation of the clear strategy to support the Jamaican people achieving a higher standard of living. You're going to hear how we're going to bring down crime even further in a more sustainable way, and how we're going to lift the country and the economy broadly from a state of low growth, low wage, low tech, low value added export.
So we want young people to listen in and to continue listening in to Budget Debate 2025-2026. Cleveland Tomlinson there speaking with us. We want to thank you so very much, Cleveland, for taking the time out to speak with us today and to share what you have thought about the debate, but also what you are proposing that your party will also share with the Jamaican people. Stick and stay, don't go away. This is the Talk Up Youth radio show, the voice of Jamaican youth. Talk Up Youth, Mr. F.A. Talk Up Youth. We'll soon come back.
So even if my eyes can see, deep down I do believe. If you can part the sea for Moses, you can open doors for me. I know, oh yeah, you will make a way for me.
Trust, integrity, compliance. These are the pillars of a strong business. And at Dodge & Global, our audit services ensure your financial statements are accurate and reliable. Stay compliant and gain investors' confidence with our expert auditors. Call us today at 876-929-3670 or 876-926-5210. Email us at info@dodgen.global. Visit us at dodgen.global. Dodge & Global, smarter and more effective decisions. Come to Marshall's Pharmacy today for your free medication management consultation. Let us guide you in taking care of what matters most, the health of you and your family. Shop now for gifts, personal care, household and stationery items, plus print services powered by Print Corner. Follow us on Instagram at Marshall's Pharmacy. Call or WhatsApp us at 876-491-7841. We are open late every day to serve you.
Need property sales data for Jamaica? Use the National Land Agency's Jamaica Property Sales Data JAMPROP application to assist you with information regarding the transfer of registered titles, registered mortgages, as well as sale prices of properties. To register for JAMPROP, all you need is internet access. For more information, contact the National Land Agency at 876-750-5263 or visit nla.gov.jm. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal to serve you better.
Education is the key for betterment in this modern time, Education is the key for betterment. Never you waste your time, don't you waste your time. Bless and love. This is Warrior King. It's all about talk up youth, you know. Cause the youth them are the future. Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Keep in tune, don't move the dial. Rastafari. Reggae music rocking the nation. Good vibration.
Me pray every time I feel can't do no different. Swear me have a win, that's why I'ma try again. Pray every time I feel, cause God always a listen. One day I have to win, that's why I'ma try again. Send me working hard, why am I still struggling? Minimum wage can't cover my bills. Somebody tell me how I'm gonna live. Me might complain, but me not giving. I'll do it now, sure. Only me and God know how my day go. Oh, well, me have to make a bad drive out of town. I'm pretty home, I want to cut the place and down. Yes, me, Tanisha first starter. When me just start, me used to hear be laughter. But you me know say a time of the master. And everything I say me going do me, I go after. You see the free, that's why every day my OD. Just I get a girl from the east with a dream. I shoot for the top and me go bring you whole team. Every time I feel, can't do no different. Swear we have a way, that's why we try. Every time I feel, cause God always a listen. They have, that's why we try again.
This is Nikisha Barnes representing for Talk Up Radio. A Talk Up Youth production held every Saturday 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Talk Up Youth, Mr. for Talk Up Youth.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Welcome back to the Talk of It Radio Show, the voice of the Jamaican youth, and at this instance, it's really the voice of the future of Jamaica. And if those who are just joining us, we are having a wonderful conversation on young people, voter intention, political engagement, and also the budget.
And we are ready to continue that conversation.
Yes, most definitely.
We are joined by none other than, firstly, in studio, Mr. Jamar Swell, Deputy Chair of Young Jamaica, and on radio. On radio. We are on radio. On the phone.
We have Ms. Samuel Brown, Vice President of the People's National Party Youth Organization. We also have on Zoom, we have Nashe Baker, who is from CMU, correct?
Yes.
And we have Kerdane Eccleston, who is youth parliamentarian.
So Nashe and Kerdane joined us earlier, so we're focusing now on Jamar
and Shamil. All right, so Jamar, let's continue. What role does social media and digital platforms play in shaping your views on politics and voting?
Very good question. Tremendously. I'll just start off with that. I get most of my news information through social media. It plays a very vital part, especially for us youth. And I would encourage our decision makers to more actively use our social media platforms to connect and reach more with the youth to find out their concerns or even present greater opportunities via that platform.
All right, Shamil.
Hi, good afternoon, and good afternoon to the panelists, and good afternoon to the listeners. I want to say thank you for having me here this afternoon to be a part of the conversation. So in relation to your question about the role social media plays, it is a vital avenue for young people especially. It works two ways. It allows us as young people to hear what our decision makers, policy makers are saying, but it also gives us a unique opportunity to share the issues and concerns that we have. It is a platform that allows young people to advocate on these issues so that policymaker understands the things that are affecting us and mechanisms that can be put in place to address these issues accordingly.
Do you think, and I'm glad you both mentioned, this value of social media, but do you think it is more or less likely to make you engage in the political process?
Oh, definitely. As both of us mentioned, the importance and the value of using social media, it is a gateway, definitely. It's very important to reach your audience where they are.
Yes.
Young people ages 16 to 20 plus, they utilize media platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, and the other platforms. So, as Shamil mentioned, it is both a conduit of information and a platform for persons to um, articulate their concerns and maybe raise some solutions as well. So I just want to double down on this point that it's tremendously valuable, especially in the climate that we're in today.
What about you,
I want,
Shamil?
sorry. I want to add that it gives young people a voice to add to the conversation, and in a way to put yourself at the table
Yes.
so that you can be a part of the decisions that are taking place. So something that I want to make absolutely clear is that it is important for young people to talk up, because these policymakers and lawmakers who are there today, the programs, the initiatives, the policies that they put in place, we as young people are the ones who will inherit them and we will live with them. And so it is of utmost importance that our voices must be heard, and we should not be afraid to talk up, and so that we can be a part of the solutions that are coming forth that we will inherit.
I want to just follow up on that though, because the two of you have interpreted it about how young people can be now a part of the social media and how it can influence you one way or the other. Because I'm actually thinking about it from the perspective of especially some of the parliamentarians who aren't in our demographic, who are being thrust onto or put onto the social media. Is it a turn off or an encouragement to you as young people? And I say that because you may see an older parliamentarian, they're putting them on social media, and in a way you'll hear the response or the critique that they just don't fit the social media.
Well,
This is not their thing.
Let
So
me help you,
does that
because I think
help?
both of them are a bit too engaged where the social media part is concerned.
No, but I want to know
based
from
on
what
your
they're seeing.
followership and your members, do you think it's a turn off or it attracts them to actually participate in the voting process?
Oh, absolutely. There's no disadvantage for policymakers to be using these platforms.
Right.
Absolutely none. I can't reiterate this point enough. It's a platform for engagement. As a turn-off mechanism, I don't see it as such,
Okay.
and I don't see young people on a whole see it as such. A lot of young people, well, a lot of the policymakers, they're not very, I would say, social media frenzy per se, but definitely there room for improvement on how they can properly articulate to the youth and try to improve their engagement, I would say.
And Shamil?
Right. I want to add that I have seen where social media has allowed for these such policymakers that we're talking about and
Yes.
parliamentarians for them to actually reply to things that persons have brought forward. So whether it's in their constituency, somebody bring up an issue, you see them doing a video replying to that issue, responding to that issue, for example. So I believe that it is a powerful tool that can put young people directly in contact with these policymakers, parliamentarians,
Yes.
etc., for them to hear their concerns, for them to understand the issues that are affecting us as young people, and so our voices can be heard and to be a part of the conversation.
All right, Shamil, do you think, and then you can join in as well, do you think politicians are focused enough on the issues young people face, such as access to jobs, affordable education, and health care, mental health support? If not, what do you think they're missing?
Well, first of all, I want to start by addressing the issues that are affecting young people. Right off the bat, we know that education is at the forefront when it comes to young people's concern. Quality of education and funding of education. We see this conversation time and time again on various platforms.
Yes.
And so I was most encouraged on Tuesday during the budget debate when the Minister of Finance, Minister Favor Williams, announced a reform to the Student Loan Bureau and extending it to include, like boarding and etc. So for me, this is something that was in place, but to make it formalized is a step in the right direction. I was even more comforted on Thursday when Mr. Julian Robinson went on to address these issues that we have long time been complaining about. Suggesting that you can extend the time of the repayment of the loan and doubling down on saying that, hey, I know that this is a repayment issue that people have, but it should also be a concern that when you're repaying your loan, it shouldn't be all of your salary and most of your salary going to this. And so for me, I believe that when you see these things happening, and you hear this conversation taking place, that it is a step in the right direction because it gives young people hope that their issues are not just going to deaf ears, that there's actually consideration taking place in this cycle taking place currently.
All right.
I'm curious to hear. Well, go ahead first, Jamal, before I ask my next
Yeah,
question.
so I'm loving this conversation. We can see that in this era, 2025, both political parties, both of our leaders are seeing the importance of young people going forward, the foresightedness, especially with the administration. I've never seen so much emphasis is being placed on youth development, especially I would speak especially about my local member of parliament. He has been doing a tremendous job, especially with reaching out to youth. Honestly, the way we're going right now, more can be done, absolutely, especially with regards to mental health. That I've spoken to a lot of young persons my age, a little bit younger. It's a crisis out there, serious. It's hard on us. The access to education, the access to opportunities, of course, there can be more. But we have to acknowledge the importance and the work that's being done now. It can't be a one-sided argument. Both leaders, both sides of the table must come together. We can't. Sure, we can disagree on how we must pursue the solutions to these issues, but as long as we're working together, especially on these critical areas, the future is bright.
Thanks so much for that. Final question. What I want to hear from both of you is how likely are you to vote in the upcoming elections and why? What are motivating factors, if any, that you'd want to consider? Starting with you, Shamil.
Okay, thank you so much. So in the upcoming election, there are issues at the forefront that I want to see discussed in relation to young people's engagement. So I can start off with like the cost of living, taking the issue here in the country right now. People want to be able to feed themselves, clothe themselves, get out. Young people are not interested in handouts. We want an opportunity to make ourselves into the best versions of ourselves from the opportunities from the government. And so I want to look at housing, for example, because this is something that has been seen discussed a lot since lately. People want the NHT to work. I'm from St. Anne, right? And in Discovery Bay, you have the HAJ project taking place, which is a partnership with NHT. These projects are sold for over $20 million. Now, right below them, there's a private contractor doing houses at a much cheaper rate. Now, as a young person, when you're looking on, you want to be able not to depend on handouts, but to be given the opportunity so that you can have somewhere over here, a roof over your head that you can be proud of. Young people also want the opportunity to strive in whatever industry they are in. And I want to quickly go to the creative industry, $1 billion that was discussed on Thursday. I know people just focusing on content creators, but it's so much more than that. It includes musicians, artists, persons who are able to get assistance with making their craft the best that it can be. And so as young people, we want to live in a Jamaica that we have a fair chance, fair access to opportunities that are available so that we can in turn use this to make ourselves the best versions that we can be. And so young people want to hear these type of discussions. They want to hear how is it that their lives are going to be transformed by going out there and putting an X on a ballot. Young people want to know that when you participate in the political process, that it will help you so that you can give back and help your country so that your country can be better for all and not just for some.
So housing, opportunities, the creative industries are your considerations going to the polls for 2025. What about you, Jamar?
Yes, I also share similar concerns as well. I can't emphasize this enough. Every week I am in charge of several clubs at UA. So every week I try to emphasize the importance of young people participating in the political process. The turnout at last elections was just appalling. It was terrible. The one before that, it's bad. The downward trend, if you look at it on a graph, it's not where we want it to be. But the policies that I'm seeing currently, yes, I've heard that Shamil mentioned the opposition spokesman on finance spoke on the investment of $1 billion into the creative industry. I've heard this by the Minister of Culture, Entertainment and Sports, the Honorable Olivia Babs Grange, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
last year mentioned that there was going to be an investment pool rather into the creative sector. I'm not a very creative person in this regard, but what I can say, this is a good opportunity. In Jamaica, our filmmaking industry is not as I would like it to see, but we have potential. We have a lot of talent here, and we need the necessary investments. But we have to look at it as a practical measure. The budget is a very complicated issue. Managing different priorities,
Yes.
balancing people's taxes, is critical.
For you, balancing taxes is one factor. What other factors would influence you going to the polls?
For me,
Yes.
particularly, performance. I look at the performance. I'm looking at what have happened over the last 9 years. This government has been in charge since I was in grade 6. So I've seen the difference. I have to look at what have been done, especially with, for example, me and a lot of students have issues with the financing for school. I'm a beneficiary of SLB. Last year, when the government removed, or I think it was the year before, when the government removed the requirement for guarantor, I appreciate that. When the government reduced the fare costs for students on the public transportation system, I appreciate that.
So performance is
so
for
basically
you.
their performance, and to you they have been performing. So
Absolutely.
you are likely to vote on their performance.
Or previous performance. We want to
But
thank again.
can I interject to ask a question?
10
here?
seconds.
I do want to ask, I know that you mentioned performance of the government,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to ask you in relation to the opposition's policies that we are proposing and things to benefit young people. We are putting out there that we are listening to the concerns of the young people, and we want to provide a Jamaica that will help to ease the burden of the living condition that is currently affecting everyone, right? So when it comes to the policies or the performance and so forth, I believe that a space should also be given for consideration of how the proposals from the People's National Party will help to improve the lives of young people and for all. And so I know we want to talk about the performance of the government and all of that, which is of utmost importance. But I just want to remind you that when it comes to making the decision, to also bear in mind of other avenues that can be explored so that we can have the outcome desired by most, if not all.
So it's a balancing act, looking at not just the current administration, but look at what the opposition could provide to you as a citizen. So we're hearing them all, housing, student loan. We're hearing about opportunities, the creative industry, looking at the performance of the current administration, also considering the objectives and the plans of the opposition as good factors. And it goes all the way back to what you said at the very beginning as to what motivates you to go out to the polls and vote. And it is a combination of factors. So I want to thank Jamar and Shamil for joining us and for engaging in this conversation. And more of these conversations will be had. I know our producer, I see him there nodding his head. It's producer boss.
Write that down.
You know, for other topics and spin-offs to this discussion about elections 2025, spiraling first and foremost with, understanding even the budget debate 2025. Thank you so much for joining us, lady and gentlemen. But
having me, and I want to say to everyone, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No, I know, Deborah, in wrapping up, today, we're going out to the ball, but, we have to mention some social media highlights that I think are very important. So there's World Endometriosis Day, and World Endometriosis Awareness Month is for the month of March. It runs from March 1st to 31st, 2025. And endometriosis is a disease in which uterine-like tissues grow out of place and become inflamed during a woman's menstrual cycle, even though the tissues are outside the uterus. The condition can be difficult to diagnose because of its vague symptoms, which include lower abdominal pain, abnormal periods, and fatigue. In fact, surgery is necessary for a defective diagnosis, and as a result, many women see multiple specialists before finding relief. So I think it's very important that, for young women in general, they understand and appreciate what endometriosis is all about, bringing awareness to themselves, and take the relevant precautions and get the necessary checkups from their general practitioners.
That's so true. We also have in social media, business journalist Owen James has died. The Press Association of Jamaica has hailed the late journalist Owen James as a pioneer in business journalism locally.
And everybody will remember Owen James
of course,
from the Business Report. So that standard person you could think about as the business journalist was Owen James. So we express our sympathies and condolences to the family, friends, colleagues of the late Owen James.
And of course, we could not end social media without speaking about what would have happened on
the social media excitement coming from the budget
debate, which it came from a conversation that the minister was having about the budget debates on all
angles,
where she would have made mention that the increase in the
the $2,000
the $2,000 that we'll be getting on our salary that can be used to
put it down
on a tidy sum.
Yes,
on a tidy sum to get your pro box. No, the social media.
I was just all over it.
Social media literally ate it up. Good and bad.
Some of the memes?
I have seen the memes.
Somebody saying this is the pro box I'm getting, which is a pro box keyring.
You know what? I saw somebody sent a picture of the pro box like some gloves.
Oh my God.
I'd be like, this is what you should be getting, or this is what you'll be getting. And also the videos on TikTok where you see persons with their $1,000 or the $2,000 walking to the local car mart saying that
their pro box.
But
I know we're making jest of it, but I think what's important is it actually shows what they want to say. People always say you have to make bad things make joke, but it actually shows persons are actually listening and tuning in, and that's what we want for even our young people, to tune in and listening to the debates, not just for the hot moments that will become a social media meme, but to understand what is being said. And I think what you mentioned at the very beginning is where we're also ending again, and it's come through, the discussions we were having with Dane and with Shamil and with Javon and with Nashe earlier and with Cleveland, that understanding is very important. And understanding the different aspects of not just the budget, but how the budget affects our daily lives is important. And further, how it is when listening to both sides that can help you to make a decision as to whether you participate, or we encourage you to participate in the electoral and the voting process.
So that's so true. Well, that was it. That's it for social media. And it was a field week. It really was a field week. I'm thinking about it now and I'm laughing, But to me, Malik, before we move on and do the closing segment, to me, what this the conversation that we're having, I was really intrigued by it, because at the end of the day, as you rightfully said, you do see where persons are actually talking about the budget, because that is something that not everybody would have been listening to, but persons were listening to it.
Yes.
And it also, I got what the minister was trying to say, and I think everybody got what the minister was trying to say. Best example, not the best, but I get what the minister is trying to say.
And I'm glad that you said at the end of the day, what is important, especially for us as young people or persons who don't have the expertise in economics, for example, is that it is accessible and it's broken down.
Yes.
And so other young persons who have a more appreciative understanding of what is going on can also assist using their platforms to share information that can assist everyone, even the ordinary Jamaican, be empowered about the budget and the budget debate. But we have to say thanks so much, because we're now down to the wire. Obviously, we have to big up all the very many times that we can our executive producer, Empress Golding.
Big up yourself.
For giving us this platform that we continue to love and appreciate and harness, and to encourage other young people to join and be a part part of because they might have a lot of great ears, so it's time to retire. And of course, the Nationwide 90 FM family for giving us the platform as well to engage with different persons and with you, our listeners and viewers.
I want to also thank our producers who are here with us, Damian Scarlett and Nicholas Williamson, and Damian Rose, our studio engineer,
David Matnish, for keeping us here on radio each and every week. And of course, to you, our YouTube viewers, thank you so much every week for faithfully signing in and listening and rewatching. Do you look back at the YouTube?
I try
You need to go onto the page demo and look back.
I try
why
not
can you
to.
see yourself?
No, what I do, I watch it while I'm here because the person will tell when I host, I watch the comments.
When
so
you
I
go back and watch it, you'll be marveled at how many persons are actually streaming the show. So it is so good to see that we are reaching far and wide.
I want to also thank the persons who came in, our guests today, for making it such a wonderful and interesting conversation. Those who came and joined via phone, online, etc.
Online. And of course, to you, our faithful listeners who join us each and every week. It has been an interesting, exciting episode today here at the Talk Up Youth Radio Show, the voice of the Jamaican youth. And we're now going to be making way for Design Studios broadcast with Karen Booker. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth.
See you next week.
Call me anytime, never cop out. Lioness is on the rise, don't you ever have down. Never say never, willingness forever to fight and be strong.
Corian solid surface, so versatile and beautiful. It's non-porous, no sealing necessary, renewable and repairable, so easy to clean and maintain, and can be thermoformed into any shape. Choose Corian, the #1 solid surface in the world, when you want beauty and the best for your countertop. Visit Home International Limited, located at 104 Constance Ring Road. Telephone 755-1970
or 276-6448.
Come taste the beat with Tasty Cheese. This Easter we're back bigger and better. The Tasty team will be at St. William Grand Park in downtown Kingston, Saturday, March 8th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Save the date and don't be late. Come vibe to some tasty beats. You could win prizes and surprises. Special sale on Dairy Industries products. Other food and drink will also be on sale.
Tasty beats with Tasty Cheese.
Listen to Nationwide 90 FM on 90.1,
90.3,
90.7,
90.9,
or visit our Flow channel on a 916. To our valued listeners, for questions, comments, or concerns about our programs, email us at programs@nationwidenewsnetwork.com.
Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Water Means Food World Water Day Forum and Training Session at Ebony Park, Hart Academy, Osborne Store, Clarendon on Thursday, March 20. Join us for exciting displays, exhibitions from agricultural agencies, on-the-spot prizes and giveaways. Plus, get practical training on water use efficiency for your farm. Don't miss out. Come learn, connect, and celebrate World Water Day. So tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Water Means Food World Water Day Forum and Training Session at Ebony Park, Hart Academy, Osborne Store, Clarendon on Thursday, March 20. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the National Irrigation Commission Limited. Irrigation, making the difference in agriculture.
Labor rights? Kevin Frith hosts Area Council 1 meeting in St. Andrews.